We live?
Yep, you are.
We're live. What up, y'all? We're live. First of all, I know I jacked this title straight from Ashera. I didn't jack it. She actually inspired this video. She did a video yesterday on Jesus being a fallen angel. And there's a plethora of cool shit that's in the Bible that's often not overlooked, because everyone knows these stories, but they don't really look at them with a different lens or like, anything other than what they're taught. So I thought, hell, there's actually a couple stories in the Bible that are really fascinating to me and really should be checked out more, and people don't. This being one of them. But before I start, first things first, I'm your host, Keith, the man of letters, here to bring you knowledge, information, and a bit of entertainment. Happy to have you guys here. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and do all the cool stuff. We have a lot of cool things in this channel. Esoteric things, ritual things, magic things, philosophical things, dope-ass audiobooks, ancient Kemetic sciences. Dude, this channel is actually dope as fuck. So subscribe, hit the notification bell next to the subscription button so that you're notified when the videos come out. And if you're if you're an old school follower of the channel, then thanks for your continued support. What up? But as per usual, we're going to take a few minutes to we're going to take a few minutes to let the people pile in, because there's some of you guys on here that watch this all of my lives, and I hate for you guys to miss it. So I like to give you guys a chance to get in here. In the meantime, some self-promo. These dope resin burners are on my Etsy shop. So is this Omani Boswellia sacra resin, aka frankincense, straight from Oman, Royal Hojari, the green stuff, the bomb stuff. On my channel, I've got little kits on there. You can get the chalice and the coals and the frankincense resin. And a little goes a long way with the frankincense resin. This shit's potent. So like the grain of the size of a grain of rice. For starters. Come on. It's also really hot. Oh man, and it smells heavenly. Come on. Give me a sec, you guys. I'm trying to get this on here. It sticks from the heat. Woo! Cool. My bad. I had a boo-boo yesterday, so I had to check text messages. Oh, I got to pull your thing up. So if you guys see me glancing at my phone, 9 times out of 10, I'm looking at your guys' comments, because that's where I see them. Oh, this one's going to be on the story of the Tower of Babel. So if you guys want to pull out your Bibles and shit and follow along, or your Tanakhs, because this is from the Old Testament, so if you have the Jewish Tanakh, even better. But yeah. No, I don't know if Keith locked the back. That's what I'm saying. When Colin first told me, I thought that's what he was referring to, was the back door, because Keith just said, like, I got it, but I didn't check if he did. So that could have been open. But from the text he sent Colin, he said the front door was left unlocked. But I locked the deadbolt. I left the glass door open. Sorry, you guys. We have a music room with like tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and I left one of the doors unlocked, but not to the expensive part of the spot. I left another door unlocked. But yeah, where was I? Oh, Tower of Babel. That's where we're at. What up? We have 18 people in the room, which is a good number. 1 + 8 is 9, and 9 is the God number. Damn, you guys are coming in hot with the comments already. Too sweet. Nice to see you as per usual. Thanks for being here, girl. Alchemy, Shelly. And I know I got the I know you guys, and even if Ashera is seeing, I hope Ashera is seeing this so I can explain myself. I definitely did take this tile from her video yesterday. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but it inspired me to make my own version because the Bible is fucking riddled with things that make you go, wait, what? It's fascinating. So I was like, damn, that was really cool that she did that. Hers was on Jesus being a fallen angel, equally, if not more interesting. But this is was something that's been pressing on my mind. Come on. B girl left something very important. No, you're gonna. That's perfect. Okay, so B girl says if God were racist, he would have made people one color. So so you guys have to follow my train of thought. It might not be trains of thoughts that you're used to, but hop on board anyways because it's a good one. Who would want to eat a banana all day long if we needed variety in our lives? Good point. Buffering. Oh, how's it gonna? Hold on, catching up on you guys' things. John Smith, what up? Vicky, Autumn Clark, Alchemy, Too Sweet, B Girl, Rocio G, how's it going, Rocio? I hope the ritual candles that you got are working out well for you. You got my banishment candle and my love candle. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. Okay. Okay, this is going to be from the Tower of Babel. I feel like I don't know if there's 18 people. There's a certain amount of people in here. So everyone go to Genesis, I believe it's chapter 16. I'm going to have to pull it up again. No, Genesis 11, 1 through 9. From the Tanakh. The only thing is, I'm going to suggest actually reading from the Jewish Bible, not the Christian Bible. And the reason why I prefer to use the Jewish Bible than the Christian Bible is because the Christian Bible is based on the Jewish Bible, right? So I was raised Catholic. Old Testament is basically Judaism, Jewish religion, plus or minus a few different books. And the New Testament is after Jesus was born, etc. The reason why I like using the Jewish text is because by the time the stories went from Jewish to Christian, you had Judaism, which got translated into Greek, right? So the Bibles are written in Greek at first, and then Greek was translated into Latin, what the Romans spoke. So then it became Latin, and then it got translated into Old English, and then New English, modern day English, right? So if you're reading from the Bible now, you're reading like Greek, Latin, Old English. You're reading 4 translations. So you play the telephone game and you say blue rabbits. And then by the time it gets to the other chain, it says pink elephants. So that's what I feel like happens the more translations you get with something, which is why I try to go from the Tanakh as it was written, at least the oldest that we can get our hands on. So I'm reading from, it's called Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 11, but it's still chapter 11 in Christian Bibles. So when you guys are ready, we can crack this off. Ooh, we got a lot of good comments in here. And I'm stoked because this is an angle that I'm sure you guys actually didn't even see before. But I'm about to hit you with some shit. Here we go. Now, the entire earth. We're about to get real with this. Sorry. I like the feels, so we're going to throw some frankincense on the coal. And we are going to commence. Because today we going to church. What up? Come on, you son of a bitch. Okay. And we commence. Now the entire earth was of one language and uniform words. That's the most important part. The earth was of one language, one unified word. And it came to pass when they traveled from the east that they found a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, referring to the humans said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them thoroughly." So the bricks were to them for stones, and the clay was to them for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower with its top to the heavens. And let us make ourselves a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the entire earth." Also very important. Let us make a name for ourselves, otherwise we will be scattered upon the earth. And there's a reason why they didn't want to be scattered. Here we go. And the Lord descended to see the city and the tower that the sons of man had built. And the Lord said, first of all, the Lord had to descend to see what humans were doing, which means he's not omnipresent, which means he can't be God if he didn't know what humans were doing without coming here. So there's your first thing. This is a whole nother topic, but I don't think the God of the Bible was God. Whether or not he actually existed, I would believe that there was an entity that we called God that existed, but it wasn't the all-creating God, right? I digress. And the Lord said, "Lo, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is what they have commenced to do. Now will it be withheld from them all that they have planned to do? Come, let us descend and confuse their language." Also, he uses us. In the Old Tanakh, the original translation, it's never me. It's always we and us, right? It's never him alone, which is very interesting. It's also interesting that they leave it in the text. They don't change the translation to let me come down, right? Interesting. Anywho, he says, "Let us descend and confuse their language, so that one will not understand the language of his companion." And the Lord scattered them from there upon the face of the entire earth. They ceased building the city. Therefore he named the city Babel, for there the Lord confused the language of the entire earth. And from there the Lord scattered them upon the face of the entire earth, which is exactly what humans were trying to not have before that. Remember, in the very first passage, or actually the third passage, it says, "Come, let us..." Wait, hold on. Fourth passage, I'm sorry. It says, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower. Let's make a name for ourselves, unless we become scattered upon the face of the entire earth." So now back to the beginning when I say that God created racism. Well, we backtrack. Racism is a lot of things, but to me, what's important about racism in this part is an inability to understand one another. To me, that's what racism is. Because if you were to put the most racist white person with a group of black people and keep them there for 10 years, when people begin to understand each other, they like each other. There's actually a term for this. Someone help me out here. It's they coined it when the lady was kidnapped and Stockholm syndrome. Is that what it is? Fact check me. Where people fall in love with their captors, and the reason why they fall in love with their captors is because they begin to understand them. They understand their history. Why are they the way they are? Why are they making the decisions that they're making? Why are they so fucked up? Why are they so happy? Right? So our ability to understand one another, be empathetic towards one another, is our ability to get along. And God knew this. God knew this or who we called God at the time. I wouldn't call him God. Why would the ultimate God, creator of everything, it doesn't make sense, right? It sounds more like someone who was afraid of what humans were capable. Actually, this is a watered down version. In the actual version, he says that the humans will be like the gods. With one language, the humans will be like the gods. They will be like us, and we can't have that happen. So that's why God not only destroyed the tower, not only destroyed the city, but not only spread us around the planet so that we weren't one solid unit. On top of all of that, he confused us. He confounded us so that we couldn't understand one another's language, because he knew if we couldn't understand one another, we wouldn't get along. And he knew if we wouldn't get along, then we wouldn't be like the gods. That's what he was trying to keep. He says, let us, he will be like the gods. I don't know how more black and white I can put it. So the reason why I use racism, one, because it's a trigger word and everyone's going to be like, racism? What the fuck's talking? God, racism? What? How the hell did God create racism? So one, because it's a trigger word, but two, because to me, racism, like I said, is a lack of understanding. The only reason why we hate someone is because we don't understand them. Not the only reason. But understanding one another definitely bridges the gap, opens channels up for love and compassion and empathy, for example. But who knows? I mean, that's why. Have you ever heard of someone say, what are you babbling about? I can't understand you. It's taken from this story. Babylon was built on Babel. So, what I was taught, what the Catholic Church teaches is it was pride. The humans thought they could be like the gods, and it was pride that killed them, which is total BS. Pride didn't kill them. God killed them. He said it himself. He came down. God was like, yo, homies, it's been a while since we've seen what the humans are up to. Let's go down and see what they're up to. He gets down there and he's like, yo, humans are doing whatever the fuck they want. Look how strong they are. They're like us when they have one language and they are one mind. We can't have this shit happen. Knock down the tower, spread them around the planet, confuse the languages so that they can't understand one another, so that they can't be powerful anymore. And essentially, if we're taking this verbatim, we've had separation of mankind since then, right? Because what is it? There's 13 tribes of Israel, right? This is before Israel. This is before Egypt. This is before Assyria, before what we know as Babylon. This is before Noah. This is fucking like before even who's Noah's dad that went up into the ark? Enoch. Before Enoch. This is way the fuck back then, when human was still one mind, was still one race, one language. And it's common sense. It's common sense that when people work together, they're more efficient, they're more cohesive. There's less friction, right? Because everyone is working towards the same goal. It's like an ant colony. Ant colonies are one mind. They have one goal and they all work together and they fucking get anything done. And humanity does the same thing. When we come together, look at the things we can create. But according to the Bible, the number one reason why we can't understand one another is because God didn't want it. Because when we do understand one another, when we are one people and one race, we can be like the gods. And that is threatening to the person that was claiming to be God in the Old Testament or the Jewish Tanakh. Therefore, I postulate, in my humble, meager 31 revolutions around the sunness, that God created racism, inadvertently created racism. Hold on, let's stop my music. Come on, what'd you do with my music? Are you still watching? Yes, I am. But yeah, I encourage you guys to look at that. I encourage you guys to find the most detailed version of that, because every Bible has its own version of this shit, their own translations. I've seen the Tower of Babel in one essay before. I looked up a children's Bible, and the entire story of the Tower of Babel, which is like a page, it was like 3/4 of a page long, was in one paragraph. And it said, there was a time when man came together and built a tower because they wanted to be like the gods, and their pride destroyed them, and God cursed them because they were proud. Nothing about how strong humans were when they have one language. Nothing about how God was worried that humans would be like them, like the other gods, if we were one person, one mind. Nothing about that shit. Nothing about confusing them so that they couldn't understand one another, which was the way he was able to keep them from being like the gods, right? It wasn't, he didn't give a fuck about the tower. You know, we can build 1,000,000 towers, all the fucking towers that we want. What God cared about was that we had one language. We had one race. That was the fear. Which is why I tend to, as much as I can, not pit myself against anyone else. Like, I don't want to facetiously say that I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Like, I'm above that. It's not that. It's not man versus woman. It's not anything versus anything, because of what this story hints at. That we have so many things that we choose to separate us, and every separation is a literal separation. It's a separation of understanding. It's a separation of empathy. It's a separation of love. Separation of knowledge, a separation of truth, history. Like, it's a separate. Any separation is a separation. Plain and simple. What do you want from me? I'm just reading the shit out of the Bible. You know what I mean? I'm not making wild claims that aren't there. You know what I mean? Straight up. Like, I'm not making this shit up. I'm not. I'm reading this like any other human would. Yow, that's hot. Frankincense. It smells like a 10th century palace in my room right now, with this frankincense resin burning on the cusp. Yeah, it's people like to talk a lot about, myself included, you know, what it means to be black and what it means to be white or Asians, or this race is better than that race at this, and this race is better than that one at that. We're better than you, and they're better than us, or, you know, they're the masters and we're the slaves, and no, we're the slaves and they're the masters, or no, like, he's holding me down, like, no, she's holding me up. Humanity, if you're going to take the religious, of course, this is in the context of Judaism, Catholicism, Islam, debatably Sumerian. No one follows fucking Sumerian texts. But if you're those people, then in your beliefs, the human race was one language and one race at a time in our early development, and we were powerful beyond measure, just as powerful as the gods. And the reason why there are people all over the world is because God didn't want that one race to exist, according to the Bible, according to this text. So when you say, the way I see races is a very scientific based. Of course, this is just my way of seeing things. Like, science by no means is the fucking end all. If anything, fucking science gets it wrong most of the time. Anywho, That being said, when I see people of different colors, I see people living in different parts of the planet. If you go towards the equator, people are darker because if they don't have melanin in their skin, then they will get sunburned and die of skin cancer. That's why people at the equator are darker than people in the north. Because if generally speaking, right, generally speaking, the further north you get, the less sun you have, the whiter people's skin is. Now, the reason people's skin is whiter in the far north or the far south is because what melanin does is it mitigates the sun's potential on your skin. What the sun does for your skin is it also stimulates vitamin D production, for example, which regulates just about every what's the word? Every system that you have in your body is run off of hormones that's made by the production of vitamin D. So when you have white skin, you only need to be in the sun for 2 minutes and you get your daily dose of vitamin D. But if you have black skin, you need to be in the sun for, I don't know, depends on how dark your skin is. The darker your skin is, the longer you have to be in the sun. And the reason why is because your skin is not allowing the sun to do what it needs to do to manufacture vitamin D, because the melanin is protecting your skin, but it's also protecting it from the stimulating rays of the sun. I hope I didn't make that too confusing. Anywho, when I see people with white skin and dark skin, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, oh, your people evolved in the north where you needed white skin because there's no fucking sun up there. Sometimes people in like Ireland don't see the sun for 2 months. Are you fucking kidding me? Like a black ass black person in the heart of Africa, just dark as night, would on average go into depression and anxiety, and because that's what happens when you don't have vitamin D or serotonin. All these levels go down, and you get clinically depressed because you're not manufacturing these vitamins because your skin's so goddamn dark and you're not getting enough sun. So when it comes to racism, and when I say again, God created racism, if say humans popped up in Sumeria, right, in ancient Mesopotamia, which to current standards, this is where humans existed. This is where they started, in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. One race, one people. So they obviously have one skin color. They obviously have one language because they're just that's the only humans that are on Earth at the time, and they're killing it because they have one mind. They're not fighting against any other humans. They're not fighting pointless wars over politics, over religion, over skin color, over fucking ethnicity, over my God's better than yours. None of that useless, wasteless bullshit. One race, one language. Powerful as the gods. Gods came down and said, we cannot have humans being as strong as us. They're as strong as we are because they are one operating as one unit. We've got to scatter them around the earth, make it so they can't understand each other, make it so they're not even close to each other. So now you have humans in the north who, over hundreds of thousands of years, are now light-skinned because evolution and because their environment favored people who could do more with less sunlight. But the people next to the equator were dark as hell because they were getting blasted, and the ones who weren't dark were dying of cancer. So now you have people in the equator who are now darker than the ones that started off in the north. And then everywhere in between. You got your brown people who are crossover in between those rules. So humans are the same. No matter how dark your skin is, I take that back. We have a common ancestor. Like blending science with religion, and it doesn't add up most of the time because science and religion don't really add up. But that's a different rabbit hole that might not be applicable to this. Damn, I'm fucking hungry. But yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm sure there's a million comments. I haven't read but one of them. Damn, all kinds of comments in here. Fag. All right. How about this? If there's any really noteworthy comments or questions that you guys wanted to get to me, put them in again, because there's a lot of comments to go through, and I'm going to be sitting here for days. I can't monetize my channel, so you can't do the where you tip and have your comment posted at the top. Unfortunately, I can't do that. So I don't know which one. Maybe I can put my Venmo on here, and you guys can tip me on Venmo, and then I'll be like, "Oh, what up?" and just leave me a message. But maybe for something else. Man, you guys have a lot of questions. And a lot of things to be said. Oh man, if there's anyone saying really unnecessary comments, like just being a total dick, let me know and I'll remove them. I'm not saying any of you guys are doing it, but these topics can definitely get dicey. So if there's a dickhead in here, just let me know, and I'll try to get him out, or just let him rock, or you guys can handle it. I don't know, whatever you guys want. We actually all came from bacteria. Before that stardust. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you can also speed it up. So what I'm in saying that we come from bacteria, we do come from life comes from bacteria as a regular evolution. But like we can influence birth now. Humans, we can genetically alter an animal. Like tomatoes, for example, they took the genes out of a frog that survives frost, and they put that frost surviving gene into a tomato, and so now they have tomatoes that are frost resistant. So while tomatoes came from bacteria, it all came from bacteria. There was something that came along and created its own sort of evolution, its own sort of twist. And which is what I think happened. I'm more personally along the lines of the Sumerian text, where they're straight up say, "Hey, there's these things from outer space, and they fucking created us." Like plain and simple. A sort of hybridization of humans on the planet and alien DNA. Probably a whole different video, but yeah, it's human nature to hold people down. Those are people that need to learn the Bible. Peace out, South Elevation. I'm not sure if that might have been a while ago, but B-Girl, you said it doesn't really matter whether they were one race or not. No, that's the point I'm trying to make. It makes all the fucking difference in the world. The reason why humanity was so strong back then was because they were one race. Again, I'm not speaking factually. I'm speaking, if you were to take the story of the Tower of Babel, humanity was one race and one language, and that is important. That's the most fucking important thing of this was, look how powerful humanity is when we operate as a single entity. And I know that doesn't mean we can't. See, this is where I'm torn. Oh man, I could talk for a long time on this because I'm actually not I appreciate that there's different races and cultures and languages, right? Because as someone stated before, we we like variety. Um, I love variety myself. I'm not saying we should be one language and one race. Um, what I'm saying that what I'm saying is that we would function better if we were one language and one race. Of course, that would be a lot less exciting than having natives, Native Americans, or Native Africans, or um, Scandinavian people, or Asian people, and all the different languages and foods and music and dancing and just ways of seeing the world. All this comes up from differences and from variety. Um, but those differences and varieties stimulate hatred towards one another. Again, because of lacking of understanding. It's and to not understand that is to never have read a history book. You know, it's always what other people have or what other people are doing that's different from us that's causing war. Like Vietnam, for example, killed fucking millions of people out there because we didn't like their politics. We didn't like how they ran their country. We were afraid of communism. Communism is not how we run the country. Um, Not to say that communism is good or bad. That's not the conversation. The conversation is we didn't like what they were doing, it was different from us, and we went to war for it. Plain and simple. We've gone to war for less. We've gone to war for less than that. You know, nations used to go to war because they killed one person. Like, would you invade and rape and pillage and plunder an entire continent because they killed one of your people? Like, this is what it's tough. That's a tough conversation. Um, but necessary nonetheless. Maybe what I would propose is I want to say understanding. We're getting better. The human race is coming together. We're finding that we have more similarities than differences, especially with social media. Of course, social media can be used for terrible fucking things. It's just a medium, of course. It's up to humans to decide what kind of content comes out. You can't fucking blame Instagram for humanity's depression. That's just a symptom of humanity not getting their shit together. But that also makes me think of this. I'm also undecided on. You know how you see maybe like 10 years ago, the New World Order came out, the NWO, and they were trying to make everyone have one language, one government, like one people, one operating system, basically. And then you saw all the conspiracy coming up about, oh, it can't be one world because that's the Illuminati and they want to take everyone over. And so immediately the New World Order became a dark thing, completely demonized. But who is doing the demonizing, right? Because you would assume that when humanity comes together as one entity, we would be stronger. We would be stronger as one entity, one government, one people, because we wouldn't be fucking fighting each other anymore. If the aliens invaded, sure, we would fight the aliens. But if we were one people, it doesn't make, if we were one human body, it doesn't make much sense for my liver to attack my spleen, right? It doesn't make much sense for my anus to attack my throat, right? It's just retarded. It's one body, one system, one goal. We work in harmony. If the human race was that way, we would assume that wars of killing each other would kind of diminish. Damn, I just realized I was supposed to be answering comments from you guys and I haven't been answering shit. So, Autumn Clock, do you think that the EU and other nations are trying to spread up human evolution by trying to get rid of all borders? Did you say that before I started talking about that? Or did that just come up simultaneously? Because yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question already, but do you think that the EU and other nations are trying to spread up human evolution by trying to get rid of all borders? I don't know. Just to answer, quite frankly, I don't know. Half of me is saying it's a good thing to get rid of all borders because, or I don't know. I'm fucking torn. I honestly have no idea. Half of me says it's a good thing because we'll be more cohesive. We'll be more one humanity, less wars, less indifferences, less things to go to war over. But the other part of me says um, that we might be easier to control if whoever was at the seat of power was a bad person. So humanity being one force means we're extremely powerful if the person leading that one force is more or less, quote unquote, a good person. But since everything is centralized, it also makes control easier because everything's synced up to one system. So I don't know. As most things, there's truth in it. I mean, as we learn all the fucking time, actually, in hermetics, all truths are but half truths. All truths are but half truths. B-girl, no, I don't think stories should be left in the past, especially important ones, because to not study things, to not study history is to not learn from the mistakes. And also to not study history is to not see patterns, right? Because if we study history, we can see patterns. We know this usually leads to this, and we know that usually leads to that by studying history, by studying the past. So while you're right, it could be just a moral story. It's still worth investigating and taking a look at. We just have to make sure that we're actually looking at it with as open mind as we can. I mean, we're humans, so we're going to be kind of hindered by our biases, subconscious ones included, but we have to at least try to look at these things objectively. Because if I would have read the Tower of Babel and been a complete just head over heels Jesus junkie, not that that's a bad thing, just like, you know what I mean? And I saw that title, I would be like, fuck that, fuck this guy. God didn't create racism. There's some kind of flaw in his premise, or he's not interpreting it the right way, or there's something wrong. I need to find out what's wrong so I can show them that he's wrong. And that frame of thought immediately detaches you from finding an objective truth or even trying to find one. Because immediately it puts you in a place of trying to prove it wrong instead of trying to see if it has truth or value, at least, in it. But why? How about this, B-girl? I mean, so the guy with the bigger picture. I think that there's a God, a creator of all, but I'm not sure if that person in the Old Testament was the actual one. I mean, that God promoted slavery and said slaves need to treat their masters like they would treat their God. He promoted prostitution. He one time let a girl get raped by 5 dudes on the front porch of a prophet because she I can't remember the story, but it was when I read it, it blew my mind. I think she cheated on her husband, so he kicked her out. Then she tried coming back, running from some dudes. The dudes raped her on the porch, and God was like, let it be. She raped or she cheated on you, so she deserves that. I don't think that's fair justice. The God of the Old Testament also destroyed an entire town because they partied too hard. Like, holy shit. They literally partied too hard. They were like gambling and prostituting and shit. They were being reckless. So he just killed the entire town. Like, just rained fire and brimstone literally on the entire town. Like, I don't know, man. That just things don't add up. Things don't add up. I'm not convinced that the God of the Old Testament was the all-creating, all-knowing God, especially in the Tower of Babel, where he had to come down to earth to even see what humans were up to. He said, let us go down and see what the humans are up to. It's been a while. If he was the all-creating, all-knowing God that you and I know, he wouldn't have to go down there. So there's actually substantial evidence, and I'm not the only person to make this case. There's fucking millions of pages of books that make this case too. That what they called the God of the Old Testament could have just been a very powerful deity that was so far advanced to humanity that we saw them as gods, which happens all the time. Case in point, when Cortez landed in Mexico, they thought he was the returning god because he was white skin, blue eyes with the gold hair. It's like, oh my God, he's back. Look at the ships, look at the guns and the horses. Holy fuck, he's a god. He's back. It was just Cortez, some dickhead from the fucking Spain trying to get gold. Not a god at all. That's what I see the Old Testament. Not our true savior, not the one, but an imposter who liked to pit brothers against each other, who also encouraged Cain to murder his brother Abel, but stopped him at the last second just to see how loyal he was. Like, could you imagine if I had two sons? This is the story of Cain and Abel. Me having my child Atlas, and then having another child, and then going to Atlas and saying, would you kill your brother for me to show me how much you love me? And then Atlas would be like, Dad, how the fuck could you ask me that? You want me to kill my brother? Like, this is crazy. And I'm like, I'm your dad. You need to listen to me. How much do you love me? And then Atlas goes to kill his brother, my other child. And at the last second, he goes, stop. And like, just to like, that's what God did with Cain and Abel. That shit is fucking crazy. And again, I'm reading this from a very bone dry. I'm not interpreting this. I'm literally just saying what the story happened in modern day terms. And like, you could say he was just testing his faith. You could say he just wanted to show how much how much he loved God. Or you could say, oh, he was never going to kill him anyway, so that's not bad. That's all fine and dandy interpretations, but the bare bones of the situation is pretty fucking wild. I'm telling you guys, this is why I love Bible topics. They're really like eye-opening. Really like, holy shit, like that actually happened in the Bible? And you go, yeah. And they're like, fuck. Old Testament God was a gangster. He fucking was a gangster. That dude took no shit. Like type in Google real quick. How many people did God kill and how many people did the devil kill? Someone brought it up and I was like, bullshit. And I looked it up and it has every Bible chapter, verse of when God kills someone and then looking for Satan killing someone. And it's just like hundreds of thousands of people. God just like, this dude for not obeying, a slave for not obeying his master, and he let a woman get raped on her porch because she cheated on her husband, killed the entire town of Gomorrah because they were having butt sex with each other. Like, it's just, the list goes on and on. Sorry, I don't mean to offend any of you guys. I don't know, but I would imagine that a lot of you guys are Christians or something there, some derivative thereof. But I don't know, man. I'm just reading the shit. Just reading the Bible to you guys. That's all I'm doing. Don't get mad at me, right? Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Ooh, Curry, my bad. My book isn't on my Etsy because it's sold through my publisher. You'd have to go to Amazon. Just type in 7 Pillars. Oh, actually, thanks, John. I feel like anytime you guys ask me questions, it's just handled by the squad. Squad, shout out, what up? Where? Oh, shit, when did you bring that?
Like 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You're like in the live.
I was in it.
Like in it.
I was deep. We were deep in it, you guys. I had food dropped off and didn't even see it. Okay, so 7SH brought up something very important for those of you that follow the Hermetic philosophy, the Kabbalion, my book, all these things. He said God admits he was jealous in the Bible. When I first read it, I was like, whoa. We went over this when I read the Kabbalion. I've gone over this a fucking 1,000 times, but we'll go over it again. When we say that God is jealous or envious or even happy, ascribing human emotions and characteristics to the God, so say the Hermeticists, is shy on blasphemy. Right? To think that God is like us, that he gets jealous or he needs praise or he needs worship or she or it, or to even say that it is a she or a he is like, you guys are humans trying to fucking comprehend the infinite. Like, imagine Hamlet or Romeo trying to understand how Shakespeare feels. Imagine that. When Shakespeare writes a book, Romeo and Juliet. Imagine Romeo and Juliet going, oh, Shakespeare. They're characters in the book. They're not even in the same realm. So that's usually a red flag. Someone that's susceptible to like flattery or praise or worship is probably not the ultimate God. It could be a super powerful entity that will still fuck your shit up if you don't worship them. Fair enough. That might happen. But to be the absolute God, nah. B-girl, good point. We are an extension of that thing. So yes, we are made in its image, so to speak, like what do you call it? Like the holographic universe type of thing. But humans exist as a finite thing. Like you're not going to be here forever, for example. You as you are right now, like you're going to die. Like your thoughts aren't going to be the same. Even if you reincarnate, you are a new person. So you're finite. Your mind is finite. But the God is an infinite mind. So while we are on the same scale, the degree is fucking incomprehensible. Human emotions being at this side of the scale, happiness being rage, being at this part of the scale, and God is infinitely farther in that direction or in all directions from your little slew of human emotions. Like when you look at the light spectrum and you see visible light is just 10% of the spectrum, and it's got red, blue, green, yellow, purple, whatever are in there, and that's it. And then you have radio waves and microwaves and UV rays and X-rays and gamma rays, and it just takes up 90%. Like that's kind of what we're talking about. The scale of human emotion is like the visible light spectrum. And we're trying to say that entire spectrum and the infiniteness of the directions that it goes in is like human. In reality, human is just this tiny little 10% fraction of light. And saying God is just these things. God is susceptible to rage or happiness or jealousy or flattery. Forgetting about the infiniteness that it's also capable of, that we're not capable of, and at least not as humans in our everyday lives capable of. Yes, God is absolutely above human constraints. Slavis Studio said it right. all laws emanate from God, um, which means God is above all laws and understanding. And to try to understand the infiniteness of God is like a hamster running on a cage forever, dying in the same spot where it started, just as clueless, but much more tired and pissed that he wasted most of his life running around a fucking wheel when he could have just been out enjoying existence as it is. Um, Ooh, too sweet. I'm glad you got the book. I'm gonna be at. Oh, look at the little schmirl. Check his little face. What was I saying? Oh, after I'm done doing the reading. What are we reading right now? What are we even on? What audiobook are we reading on the lives right now? Is it the Corpus Hermeticum? No, it's not that. It's something else. Whoa. Whatever. When I'm done with this one, I'm going to do a live reading of the book I wrote. So for those of you guys who haven't gotten the book yet, you should get it so you can follow along. Ooh, Autumn Clark, that's interesting. The Coming Race by Edward Buller, a fiction book about a group of mixed race pre-humans. What? Damn, maybe we should read that book online. How old is it? Will I go to jail for reading it? Autumn Clark, could you remind me about that, please? The Coming Race? Because that sounds really interesting. I'll write it down in here. Hopefully that sparks something. Melanated moon goddess. He is exactly like he, she. Again, he and she are representations of gender. Gender is an extension of God. God is above gender, so God is neither man nor woman, or a mix of both. Because a mix of both would be to say it is this thing, and we cannot say it is this thing because it is infinite, and you can't this thing and infinite thing. Yeah, you guys just got to remember that. People are gonna try, are gonna, even myself included, are gonna try to be as objective as we can, but our tendencies are gonna steer us towards certain ways of being, and the way we interpret things. Unless you're really fucking good and really an adept or a straight up hierophant or someone who studies this shit for a living and is capable of looking at all sides of a picture at once objectively, it's hard to find those people. And you're definitely not going to find those people in your everyday school system. You're going to find the contrary to that. People who are very rigid in their beliefs and think that their way is the right way, which I experienced a lot in college. But that is a different topic altogether. Jennifer Pete, don't worry. We're pretty much done right now anyways. Damn, it's 1:30 already. How do you feel about solving?
I'm done.
Sounding more fun as the day goes on or less fun?
It sounds like fun. It's a great day today.
It is a good day.
Very nice and sunny.
I know. And we can grab some sage.
All the herbs.
Unless I missed any of you guys' really, really pressing comments from before or pressing questions, leave them now. Happy to answer them. But also, I'm collecting a bunch of sage today. Maybe I'll hop on a live if I have enough reception out there to show you the sage patch. Because is he sleeping with his eyes open? No, he's up. Are you up, little Schmurtle? Yeah. I think he was.
He was just in a deep stare. His eyes were locked for a minute.
I know. You just getting your Zen on, Atlas? You just getting your Zen on?
He's meditating.
You meditating over there? Damn, he's got the creepy stare going on. You see him?
I know. Papa. He's all sleepy.
What's up, baby boy?
Maybe you're staring too.
Damn, he's zoned out. You just watching Daddy give a little sermon on the rock over there? Is that what you're doing?
Sure.
That's funny. Is it good? Have you read the book, Autumn? That Coming Race? Ooh, Harold Morris. Sounds like you're the person to talk to on this subject. If any of you guys are really well versed in any of these topics, I mean really, really well versed, and can carry yourself on a live, I would definitely love to have you guys on here and chat it up, like we did with the Space Mama or Moon Mama, Terra Mama. What was her name?
Space Mama.
Or Moon Mama. There was a lady that came on the channel on the live. Something Mama, but that was really dope. So, oh no, not that again.
Who's that? Oh, the bomb was gonna kick off.
Oh no, I got it. Are we still live? Google Chrome. Damn, we might have got shut up. Hey, can you guys text something in there? Let me know if the video is still live or not. Okay, it's cool. I accidentally downloaded spyware trying to download a free version of an editing program. Instead, I just downloaded a bunch of shit that ruined the Google Chrome app. But it's the only app that runs lives, so I have to use it. But every once in a while it does that and explodes my computer. They were also vegan and planned on taking over the earth. That's funny. That's super funny. Oh, guess we gotta go vegan.
Yeah.
Maybe. Cool. I think we're all tapped out. Oh my god, I'm so hungry.
So we are going vegan right now.
Great. Oh, it's cheese.
Actually, never mind. It's vegan cheese. Just kidding.
I thought you were recording me for a second.
No.
What's that, baby boy? You chilling?
He's like zenning.
Is he tired? What's up? I wonder if shots are making him jazzy if he's just chilling. No, I see the shots.
Oh, yeah.
Hitler was a psycho. Mm-hmm. I think to figure out the answer to your question, we're gonna have to read the book. I think that's all that means. Mukbang for the win. I saw a really chubby kid from Vietnam on the mukbang.
Did you?
He had like 10 million subscribers, but he was like scarily obese. I'm not sure if that was a good thing.
Yeah. Aw, Asian kids are so cute. I would have watched them. Mukbang. What are you doing?
Cool. We done, you guys? Can I log out? Thanks for being here. I'll go live in a couple hours and show you the Sage. So there was only like one or two of you asking for Sage bundles, but I'll grab a bunch of Sage bundles in case you guys want some. Throw them up on the Etsy shop later tonight. So, Abby, hit me up. I'm down for the herb discussion. Too sweet. Maybe I'll send you the broken bottle of hydrosol with the herbs that you get. My bad. But I'll see you guys soon. All the love. Peace out.